This is the Louie T Network. Hey, either you're outside or you're
in the lab room.
Draft zone.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. This is the 2015 NFL Draft Wrap-Up Series, where I aim to break down all 32 teams in the National Football League's 2015 NFL Draft. Using our baseball grading scale, single, double, triple, home run, there are no strikeouts here in the Draft Wrap-Up Series, as we cannot tell how these players will pan out, and I don't want to discount any of these players before they get their chance in the National Football League. So, we get a grade for each and every single player and pick made by said team in the draft, tally up all those scores, get an aggregate for that team's draft, then divide by the number of picks, and that is how we end up with our final grade. Move on to the next team in the process that you, the viewers, pick. It is the you pick format, or as I like to call it, the up format. You, the viewers, pick who will be next by simply being the first to leave a comment in the bottom of the comment section stating two things: the team you'd like to see next, so the phrase next, and the team you'd like to see next. Gotta be first though, gotta be the first comment in the comment section when the video is released to have that team be next. And I don't care how you phrase it, as long as those two components are in the comment, it's all good, and that team will be up next on the program. And so, finally, I had to do this one for my Chargers friends. San Diego Superchargers. Chargers fans have been the most persistent fan base throughout this process, and they've been trying so hard to get their beloved Chargers up on this program. So I went ahead and did the Chargers fans a huge solid. I had this one warming up in the bullpen, so as soon as you got the Chargers up, this video was ready to rock and roll, because you guys have been up here trying your hardest to try to get the Chargers up. And so without any further ado, you don't have to wait any longer. You won, you got the Chargers up, and so this video is ready for you, hot and piping, smoking hot off the presses. So here we go. Chargers 2015 NFL Draft. Let's see what the Chargers were able to do. All the hoopla surrounding Philip Rivers. Will he be traded? Won't he be traded? All along, Tom Telesco and the Chargers basically said, hey, we're not trading Philip Rivers. I don't know where this is coming from, but we're not doing it. Hey, I bit hook, line, and sinker. I thought Philip Rivers was dangling out there as bait to get Marcus Mariota into San Diego, but it was all a big ploy to try to get Philip Rivers to sign on the dotted line. I really don't know who started the rumor and how it manifested itself into what it became, but at the end of the day, Philip Rivers is going to remain a San Diego Charger, and I fully believe he will extend his contract out and finish his career as a Charger as they move on to Los Angeles, because I believe that is imminent, that will happen, and I think that he will be with this team when they do make that move. Everyone was posturing, including Philip Rivers himself. At the end though, he's still there. These two are married and tied together. And so let's see how they can build around what they currently have and try to give it a run in the AFC West as we look at their 2015 NFL Draft. We start in the first round. 15th overall selection, running back out of Wisconsin. Via a trade with San Francisco, they move up 2 spots from 17 to 15 and get someone that I think can help them change the game, not only in the AFC West, but in the AFC Conference. Melvin Gordon III. And so, you look at this, first of all, let's talk about the trade. The Chargers went up, and I talked about this all throughout the process, especially as we got closer and closer to the draft. I talked about the need for the Chargers to do whatever they needed to do. If they weren't going to go out to get Marcus Mariota and they weren't going to make that whole thing happen, then the next thing they needed to address was the running back position. No more Ryan Matthews. That's a position that you have some stuff, but you don't have a guy. You don't have a bell cow. You got some nice pieces though, okay? You had some guys do some good things for you last year in the absence of some of your running backs. Danny Woodhead went down. Ryan Matthews is always injured. And so you had guys step up in their absences. That was fine, but you really needed a guy that you could count on, someone that you could turn around and kind of rekindle the magic you had when LaDainian Tomlinson was in that backfield carrying the rock. So to go out and get a guy like Melvin Gordon to trade up 2 spots with the 49ers, and this was a necessary evil, because if you did not do this, I fully believe that the Texans would have taken him at 16 and wouldn't have thought twice about it. So, and I'm thinking that's what the thought process was with this Chargers team, is that we got to get in front of Houston. Even if the Texans aren't thinking about taking him, they may give this pick to someone else, trade it away, and allow them to jump in front of us to get him. So at any cost, we need to go up and get our guy. And you know how I feel about it. If it's your guy, go and get your guy. And that's exactly what the Chargers did. This is a guy that, he's a 3-down back, can do all the things you need him to do. I think he's a perfect complement to what Phillip Rivers does and what this San Diego Chargers offense is. And so I really love this pick. I'm not gonna break him down. I've already done that. If you're looking for a thorough breakdown of Melvin Gordon III, then simply go to my Draft Prospects 101 series and check out what I had to say about this game-changing running back that the Chargers now have on their roster. In the first round, 15th overall selection, the San Diego Chargers go up and get a game-changing back in the form of Melvin Gordon. You already know what this is. It's hit hard, it's hit deep, out of here. Home run in the first round for the San Diego Superchargers as they knock it out of the park by coming up and going and getting Melvin Gordon III. We move on to the second round. Pick number 48. Inside linebacker out of the Miami, Denzel Perryman, a guy that I fell in love with when watching the tape. Let's talk about his pros. He's an aggressive downhill thumper. If I've ever seen one, this guy is it. He comes down field, and when he gets a head full of steam, if he is not blocked and he is able to lock onto a target, he's like a heat-seeking missile. This guy comes with a serious punch, and when he packs it, you better look out because someone is going to pay. Plays with physicality, and that's pretty much what I was just alluding to. He plays with a level of physicality that you want, that you look for, that you yearn for from your inside linebacker. When you play in a 3-4 defense, hell, if you play in a 4-3 defense, I really don't care what your base is. You want your inside linebacker, your middle linebacker to set the tempo. Hey, those guys on the outside, they can be a little bit lighter, they can be finessed, they can run fast, they can do all of those things, jump high. Yeah, that's cute. I want my guy in the middle to be a thumper. I want him to be knocking some heads and making guys really respect what we're doing on the defensive side of football. And Denzel Perryman is one of those types of players. His level of physicality is infectious. You see a guy like him, 5'11", 236 pounds, running around and knocking guys' heads off and blowing people up. You have no choice but to match that level of physicality as a defender on this defense. I love the way he plays the game of football. It is a joy to watch. He's very instinctive. That's the next pro. Here's a linebacker that he sees it, he diagnoses it, and he goes much faster than slow. There are countless plays where the running back gets the football, there's a tiny crease, and this is where being 5'11" can help you sometimes because he is undersized, but you don't worry about his height because this guy, he defies that. He goes out and he plays the game with a level of physicality and a level of know-how and instinctiveness that just pretty much shatters any notion of him being too small or anything like that for the position. And so he just plays with the level of instincts that you look for at the linebacker position. He'll squeeze through the tiniest of crevices, get into the backfield, boom, running back goes down. And it's 3rd and 1, you're thinking, oh yeah, he's got the first down. And out of nowhere, here comes Denzel Perryman, tackle for loss. They got to punt the football out in space. This is a guy that is a sure tackler. Let's go ahead and start lumping some of these other pros together. He sorts through trash innately. That to me is a gift that either you have as a linebacker or you don't. You don't learn how to sift through trash. Guys are going to be around your feet. Guys are going to be blocking you or blocking others. You have to find your way through that trash. You got to sort and weave your way in and out of the mud and the muck that is the dog pile in the middle of the field. There are going to be bodies, there are going to be offensive linemen, there are going to be a lot of things going on around you as a linebacker, especially in the middle. It is your job to sort through the wreckage, find the ball carrier, and get him on the ground. This guy does it among the best in this entire draft. He sorts through trash and finds his treasure, which is that ball carrier, and gets him on the ground 9 times out of 10. Speaking of which, he's a tackling machine. Tackling machine. He's a tackling machine. This is a guy that doesn't miss a lot of tackles. That was impressive to me because when I watch linebackers, one of the lost arts of linebackers is just tackling, just getting the guy on the ground. I really don't give a damn how you do it, whether you plaster him, blow his chest up, or you just shoestring him and get him on the ground. I don't really care how, just get him on the ground. That's all that matters. Nobody will be talking about how you lit the guy up on 4th and 1 to save the game. All they want to know is, did you tackle the guy short of the sticks to preserve the win for your football team? Whether it's a shoestring tackle or you ran through the guy, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, did you get the guy on the ground? And his answer is usually yes. And he comes sometimes recklessly out of control, still the same result. That's what I love about him the most. Doesn't matter what kind of angle he's coming from. Doesn't matter how fast he's running to the ball carrier. Doesn't matter how his pursuit angle may be slightly off here or there, or he might be coming too fast downhill. He finds a way to wrap up the ball carrier and get them on the ground. By proof of this, all you have to do is look at his 110 tackles a season ago. This guy is a tackling machine. Someone makes a mess on the defense, Denzel Perryman is coming to clean it up. He's a read and react linebacker. The thing I like about him being a read and react linebacker is that when you're a read and react linebacker, you eliminate a lot of the mistakes, you know, overreacting to play action fake. You diagnose the play. But the thing that I like about him, even though he's a read and react linebacker, is the fact that he's instinctive still. So he's not one of these guys that read and reacts and takes him a long time to go and make a play. Once he sees it, he's gone. He's taking off, and he kind of already knows what he sees, but he just wants to double check. And there's nothing wrong with checking twice to make sure everything's nice. And so he'll make sure, he'll stay there and say, okay, it's a run, I'm gone. And he'll take off, and next thing you know, Denzel Perryman's in your backfield. Number 52, he's on you. So I love the fact that not only is he instinctive, but he does his homework. He's a read and react linebacker, but he doesn't sit there all day long and wait for things to happen. He goes and creates the action. He's the aggressor. He doesn't sit back on his heels and allow guys to take the fight to him. He is normally the aggressor. And so you put those two things together and you've got a well-rounded linebacker. Read and react with instincts. He's a leader on the field. And you can see that just watching his demeanor at the University of Miami. He was the guy that got everybody lined up. He was the guy that kept everybody's head in the game, kept them mentally stimulated. He was the guy that made sure everybody knew what they had to do. And if you made a good play, Denzel Perryman would let you know about it. I love those players that get everybody riled up. Get everybody just, this game is supposed to be fun. You make a play, hey, celebrate. Your teammate makes a play, celebrate. My coach used to always say that, celebrate. And Denzel Perryman, to me, is a leader on the field. If he makes a mistake, he owns up to it. That's my fault, fellas. I got you. They called him for a 15-yard penalty one time. He dropped an interception. If you've ever played football, you know the rules. If it touches your hand and you're supposed to catch it and you don't, push-ups. Go ahead, drop down, give me 10. That's the rule. So he dropped the interception. He gets down, he does 10 push-ups. They flagged him for a personal foul for taunting. They said he was taunting the other team's bench. He's like, what? What are you talking about? Everyone knows the rules. Obviously, the officials don't. They flagged him for it. The very next play, he said, you know what? He said, my fault, fellas. Don't worry about it. That's on me. Don't worry about it. I got it. If I would have caught the interception, it wouldn't have happened. Next play, interception, game over. Game, set, match. Everybody drive home safely. That's what leaders do. That's what Denzel Perryman is as a football player. You go to his cons. He lacks explosive speed. That's the only reason why he's here in the second round. This is a first round caliber linebacker. Easily could have went off the board early in the second round, but you take two things into consideration. He's a 5'11", 236-pound linebacker, which I think most people have gotten over the fact that he's 5'11", 236. Nobody really cares about that. More importantly, he's a 4'7", 8 linebacker. He didn't possess the speed that most thought he did when watching the tape, because if you look at the tape, you don't see 4'7", 8 linebacker. Even though there are times where guys are able to outrun his angles, I think that that's more chalked up to the fact that he's tired than him actually being a slow athlete. But you can't deny what he ran at the combine, which was a 4.83, and then he followed that up at his pro day with a 4.78. So this is what he is. He's a guy that runs right around 4.7, 8, 4.8. flat, whatever it is, the guy is still, to me, an explosive athlete that runs through ball carriers. He runs through them. So I really don't care about the 40 time. I'm pretty sure there are countless linebackers who have been borderline Hall of Famers or Hall of Famers that have ran worse times than that, weren't the fastest guys. He makes up for it with instincts. And to me, this is a steal getting him at this juncture of the second round. He's a step late in coverage. I would love it if he was a little bit more instinctual in coverage. That's the one thing I feel like. He's almost there, but he's just a step late. If you watch the tape, there are several times where the ball is like literally right there, and Denzel Perryman either isn't in a position to get his hands up or knock the football away or make a play on it, or he's just out of reach of the football because he's just a step too late. I'd like to see him be a little bit more proactive in coverage and be on time instead of a step too late. But forget all of that. We're talking about a man beast right here in the second round, right? Linebacker out of the U. Denzel Perryman is a big time deep shot to deep left field, way back. You can put it on the board. Yes, it's a home run for the San Diego Chargers in the second round. Back-to-back jacks for the Chargers as they put a charge into it in the first round with Melvin Gordon III and turn right back around and do it again with a big-time prospect right in the middle of their defense in Denzel Perryman. So, Chargers, back-to-back jacks to start off their draft. We go to the third round. 85th overall selection, defensive back out of Texas State, Craig Mauger is the selection. Let's talk about this guy. He is a 5'11", 201-pound athlete. That's the way I classify him. He's a 5'11", 201-pound athlete. This is a guy that if you look at, and let's just go ahead and lump this next pro in there with that breakdown of him. And you look at what he does as an athlete, 10-10 broad jump, okay? 38-inch vertical leap, faux Moses Malone foot, okay? So we're talking about a guy that's explosive. You see that with the broad jump and the vert. And then you're talking about a guy that can just straight fly, speed, running at the cornerback position. And I could actually see this guy being a safety down the road as well. Don't know what the Chargers actually have in store for him, but I can see him turning out to be a dynamite safety, but I think they want to try him at the cornerback position first, and I do not blame them. There are a lot of intangibles here with Craig Mauger and a lot of things that you have to like if you are a San Diego Chargers fan, and things that pique your interest. And a lot of those start with that raw athleticism that I just explained. He's very physical and aggressive in run support. I don't recall seeing a cornerback be as physical as this guy. Let's get physical. I don't recall seeing defensive backs be that physical. This guy's looking for contact. I mean, the first thing that I saw when I turned on the tape was this guy plastering a guy. I'm like, okay, are you a safety? Did I read it wrong? Are you a safety or a cornerback? He's like, no, I'm a corner. I just hit like a safety. That's just what I do. And so he's very physical and aggressive in run support, man. I mean, this guy is thirsty to hit somebody, and I like that. You don't see, that's to me something that you just don't see every day from a cornerback. And to me, that's something that really drew him to a team like the Chargers. He was impressive on tape with his physicality and his athleticism. You see him up close and personal, and they probably fell in love with all of the things that they saw on tape, plus what they saw in person. They said, man, we got to take a flyer on this guy. This is a big-time athlete with a lot of things going for him, and if we can coach him up, we got ourselves a football player here in the 3rd round. Solid production in his collegiate career. You're talking about 8 interceptions, 31 PBUs, and 8 sacks. So you're talking about a guy that's around the football, 8 interceptions, 31 pass breakups, and then 8 sacks. So he's all around the football. That means he blitzes, can get to the quarterback and hit home, and he's very durable. That's another pro for him. 48 career starts. Started every single game of his Texas State career. And I want to give you a little bit of background information before we round up his pros. Here's a guy that you look at and you say, well, he went to Texas State. This was a guy that was heavily recruited by Division I schools. He could have easily went up the road to the University of Texas. He could have went to the university, but he wanted to stay closer to home. His mother passed away in 2007, had some younger siblings that he needed to look after, so it was important to him to stay closer to home and be a figure to his younger siblings. And so he was able to play football, juggle all of the responsibilities of caring for his younger siblings, and still be productive enough to garner the attention of NFL teams. So this is a guy that is very, very strong-minded. He persevered through adversity, and this is his reward. So you really root for guys like Craig Marger, hope that he makes the best of this opportunity. And last but not least, he gives you special teams value. He was a punt returner at Texas State for the Bobcats. Now, I didn't think that he was all of that. I actually saw him muff one, and one of his teammates had to go scoop it. So don't know if that's something the Chargers will explore with him, but it's there if you need it. And he's also a guy you can send down as a gunner and be a physical presence on the special teams unit. So there's a lot here to like with Craig Marger. Let's jump into his cons. He gets stuck on blocks sometimes. For all of the physicality that I talked about and discussed with this guy, and for all of the things that he does in the run game, he can get caught up on blocks sometimes. I'd love to see him be able to shed these blockers, get off of these receivers, and find a way to the football. Because once he gets there, he's going to get the guy with the football on the ground. That's not a problem. It's getting to the guy with the football that is the issue for Craig Marger at times. Would love to see him shed blockers a little bit more efficiently and get to the football. Plays a lot of off coverage. He did that with regularity at Texas State. And actually, one of the tapes that I watched, Arkansas State used it against him because he played off so much. They actually ran a combination route where the outside receiver, which Marger was guarding at the time, ran inside, and it was almost like a wheel route to the for the inside receiver, a wheel route to the outside. And what it basically did was it set a natural pick that really hindered Marger's ability to stay hip to hip with the receiver because he was off. Had he been playing press coverage, that route from the inside would not have affected him at all. But because he was so far off the ball, that wheel route up the sideline gave him trouble trying to fight through that. And the receiver got up the field, ran a post. Marger could not recover. Easy walk-in touchdown. And so I want to see him come up some more. And this is just something that I think, because of where he played at and what the coverage was, might have been his responsibility. Just stay deep. Don't allow anybody behind you, which is fine. At the next level, I'd like to see him come up and challenge guys, get in their face. He's so physical. I want to see him get in the face of a receiver and jam him at the line of scrimmage. We're talking about basically a 6', 200-pound corner with physicality. Use it. Use it to your advantage and really get in the face of a receiver and throw off their timing. I think he has the ability to do that. I just want to see him do it more often. And last but not least, this is a raw football player. I think there's a lot left for him to learn. And I think that's what has the Chargers probably the most intrigued here, is that there's upside. This guy's raw. He came to college as a running back / receiver prospect. He sat out his freshman season, redshirted, and after that, he said, all right, I'm going to make the transition to defensive back and never looked back after that. Started all 48 games of his collegiate career at defensive back, and to me, he's a guy that has a lot left to learn, and this is where coaching comes in. The guy has all the physical gifts and tools you're looking for to become an elite player at the next level. Now it's up to the coaching staff to get this kid in shape and have him ready to stand up to some of the best in the business. He's going to see Darius Thomas twice a year. He's going to be going up against some of the best athletes in the world at the wide receiver position. It's their job to have his technique be sound and have him ready to step his game up to the next level. You're no longer at Texas State. You're not playing against Arkansas State. You're not playing against Northern Illinois anymore. You're starting to play against the big boys. You're going to see great receivers week in and week out. He needs to be ready and show up with an attitude that says, I'm the best player on the field. And if they can get that out of Craig Marger, all the gifts are there, like I mentioned. The speed, the ability to be physical, the willingness to tackle and be actually good at it. Everything you're looking for is here. They just need to turn this guy into a football player. And I think if they can do that in the third round, Craig Marger will be a big-time football player for him. But I have questions, okay? He's raw. There are some question marks here. A lot of off coverage. Didn't see him jamming guys a lot. He was susceptible to some moves because he was so aggressive as a run defender. They used that against him, okay? There were a couple of times where he'd suck up on fakes, and because he was so aggressive looking to stop the run or looking to stop the wide receiver screen, they'd fake it and go up top on him. I saw 2 touchdowns where he was over aggressive. Teams were sitting on the fact that he was over aggressive. They made him bite down on the fake. He comes up, SpaghettiOs. Look what we saw, backdoor exit, touchdown to the receiver. And so there's some things, some technique flaws he's got to clean up. But I don't have a doubt in my mind that with coaching, if this kid takes to coaching well, he's going to have an opportunity to be special. But again, a lot of questions, need some answers. And because of that, in the third round, 85th overall selection, defensive back out of Texas State, Craig Marger for me is a double. Is this guy a safety or a corner? Believe the Chargers are going to give him every opportunity to be a cornerback. But if he doesn't work out there, I would not be surprised if they say, hey, with your physicality, your skill set, why not give it a run at safety? He looks a lot like Eric Weddle to me. And so I can easily see the Chargers saying, Weddle wants more money. He's getting up there in age. Why not have this guy be grooming to take over the throne when Eric Weddle isn't able to do it any longer? So I don't know what the Chargers thinking is here. I'm thinking he's a corner right now. And if that works out, we won't even have this safety discussion. But if it doesn't, look out for Craig Marger making the transition to safety from the cornerback position. You go to the 5th round, 153rd overall selection. Outside linebacker out of North Dakota State, Kyle Emanuel is the selection. Talk about his pros. 6'3", 255-pound defensive end / outside linebacker. He's got a well put together frame. And the first thing that I noticed with him when I put on the tape was his high energy relentlessness. This is a guy that doesn't give up on any snap. I don't care what he has in the tank. You're getting every single drop, whatever he's got in the tank. This guy only knows one speed, and that is full speed. And if he's got 5 gears, he's in 5th gear all game long. He's very powerful. What's surprising because when you look at him, you know what? I didn't know he was 255 pounds just looking at him, and I don't think you would know. He didn't look like a 255-pound guy, but he's well put together, and his frame allows him to carry that weight well and be powerful, man. This guy drove, and look, he's playing at North Dakota State. I know. I don't really know what that means in terms of the quality of tackles that he sees, and when I tell you some of the numbers that he puts up, you're gonna say, yeah, I really don't know about that. But I tell you what, look, all I ask, if you go to a smaller school, and yes, North Dakota State is a Division IIA school, but if you go to a smaller school, you just got one prerequisite, that's it. You know what it is, the Louie T prerequisite for small school athletes looking to find their way to the National Football League, and that is simple. Dominate the competition. I turn on the tape, I should know exactly who the guy that I'm watching this tape for is. It's really simple. Dominate. You can't help who they put in front of you, okay? If the tackle in front of you is inept and he is unable to get the job done, then take advantage of it. Put numbers up on him. That's what Kyle Emanuel did throughout his collegiate career. And he's able to drive guys, get his hands up under their pads, put them on skates, have them dancing like they on hot coals, and put them in the lap of the quarterback and get the quarterback on the ground. He's stout at the point of attack. Something else that I was impressed with, he's also able to stand up at the point of attack. And again, he doesn't look like a guy that's built to set an edge in the run game, but I was pleasantly surprised. He was setting the edge in the run game, he was making plays in the backfield. And again, you'll find out just how many plays he made in the backfield here in a second, but this guy has the complete package. There's a lot to like here. There are some things he has to work on, some things he needs to refine, but we'll get there in a second. But there's a lot here that you can work with, and I think this is a guy that could be a gem when it's all said and done for the Chargers in this draft. He's a very smart football player. Can't tell you how many times I saw misdirection and he stayed at home, or they tried to run a screen. There is no way that I'm that good that I should be breaking through the line basically unabated, untouched by any offensive lineman. Something's fishy, something's up. Of course, you smell screen, you get to where you need to be. He busted up at least 2 or 3 screens that way. He's a very smart football player. He's versatile. This is a guy that played defensive end with his hand in the dirt, but also stood up at outside linebacker. So you got a sneak peek at what you're going to ask him to do in San Diego as an outside linebacker in the 3-4 defense. He's going to stand up a lot of times, but in nickel situations, when you're looking to get as many pass rushers on the field as you can, this guy can stick his hand in the dirt and be one of your 4 down linemen trying to get pressure on the quarterback when you're in nickel and dime sets. So this guy is very versatile, and I think there are several niches that he could carve out for himself on this San Diego Chargers football team. Tremendous collegiate production. Now let's talk about this is just 2014. I'm not even talking about what this guy did in the past. Let's just talk about what this guy did last season. 19.5 sacks. Yes, I just said 19.5 sacks. Total domination by Kyle Emanuel. 31, let me repeat myself, 31 tackles for loss. Yes, I did not stutter, 31 of them. That is about 3 guys put together normally for one career. We're talking about one season. This guy had 31 tackles for loss. Astronomical numbers. Again, you gotta take into consideration the level of competition. I don't care. That's what you do to inferior competition right there. You wanna go to the next level? That's what you do. And that's what he did. He blew him up. So I don't wanna hear anything about level of competition. That's what you do to the level of competition. If they're not on your level, then you tell them get on your level, and you get 19.5 sacks and 31 tackles for loss. He was the Buck Buchanan Award winner given to the best Division IIA football player, and that's exactly what he was. With those kind of numbers, how can you deny this guy being the best player in Division IIA? So you go to his cons. Needs to refine his move catalog. And simply what I mean by that is he needs to come up with more moves to get to the quarterback. Right now, to me, he's got a fastball and he's got a changeup. He's got an off-speed pitch and a fastball. His fastball is his inside move, man. It is a beautiful inside move. That thing is tremendous. It's quick. It's very efficient. Not a lot of wasted motion. The first play I saw from this guy, quick inside move. Now, you know, I don't know what I was expecting. I really went into his tape with no expectations. I said, Kyle Emanuel, probably a white guy, which he was. I said, hey, he's probably not going to be that athletic. Probably like and this is what I was thinking, really, in my head. I said, he's probably a Jared Johnson clone. You know, he retired a couple years ago. They're looking for a guy to set the edge in the run game. Probably not going to be that athletic. Just going to be a big Flintstone, Stone Age, caveman type that sets the edge, not gonna get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. In the very first play, this guy takes a hard outside approach, back inside, beats the tackle like he stole something and gets inside and gets the sack. I said, damn, I was actually eating something and I almost choked on my foot. Damn. You know, I had to rewind it back. I'm like, man, that's impressive. So then my expectations heightened and it only got better from there. So that's his fastball. His changeup is the bull rush. If he doesn't win with one of those, he's not gonna win. He tries to get to the outside and get up the field, but it's not successful very often. This is a 4.7 40 guy. So he's got a little bit of speed, but it's not anything to write home about. It's not blazing. There's no electric first step or anything like that. So he's got a fastball. The inside move is electric. He's got a off speed. That's the bull rush. I need to see something else, a spin, maybe a rip, something, man. I just want to see this guy develop at least one more move that he could go to kind of confuse the tackle and give him just another move in his repertoire that he can go to in his bag of tricks to hit home and get to the quarterback. Level of competition, I've already spoken about that. You got to take that into consideration, but again, he dominated it. I feel good about that. But again, you're going to see much better, more athletic tackles. Will that inside move that he made a lot of sacks off of work at the next level? Maybe, maybe not. Will he be able to bull rush? Well, that strength that he showed in college, will that transfer over to the NFL game? And will he be able to bull rush tackles and put them on skates and drop them into the lap of the quarterback and get pressure? Will he be able to collapse pockets like he did continuously at North Dakota State? This is a powerhouse program that hadn't lost a game in over 2 years. They lost one game, won the championship for the 4th consecutive year. All he knows is winning. You're getting a winner here. This is all the guy knows. His entire collegiate career, he won championships. So you're getting a winning football player here. There's a lot to like. I really like Kyle Emanuel, and if he's developed properly, you could have yourself a steal. In the 5th round, 153rd overall selection, outside linebacker out of North Dakota State. Kyle Emanuel, for me, is a triple. It's in the corner, it's floating around. Left fielder has a tough time fielding it and getting it back in. Kyle Emanuel is standing up at third base with a triple. This kid is talented. I want to see him. You know what? I'm really in love with him and Jeremiah Tauchu. To me, if Melvin Ingram, Jeremiah Tauchu, and this kid here can develop, man, you could have some guys that can go and hunt the quarterback. It's all about staying healthy in the case of Melvin Ingram, and it's all about development with Jeremiah Tauchu and this guy here in Kyle Emanuel. So you round out this Chargers draft with their 5th and final selection coming in the 6th round, 192nd selection overall, defensive tackle out of Arkansas, Darius. Philon, his pros, 6'1", 298-pound defensive lineman. This is a guy that I think can stand to gain some more weight, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But to me, the most apparent pro is his attacking, aggressive style. In his nature, he's just an aggressive football player. It's just what he is. He's a guy that likes to attack and he likes to get in the backfield, be disruptive, be a guy that makes some tackles in the backfield. You saw that right off the jump. The first thing I noticed with this guy is, okay, he's a slasher. He's a play disruptor. He blows things up. He wants to get in the backfield and be aggressive. He's not looking to be a two-gap, space eater that's holding up at the point of attack, taking on blockers and allowing linebackers to roam free. He's looking to make a play himself. He's out for self. And so he's a guy that's going to definitely try to wreak havoc in the backfield. Quick rip move, and I just talked about him trying to get in the backfield, talked about his aggressive nature. That's part of the reason why he's aggressive. He's got an excellent quick rip move that allows him to penetrate the backfield in situations where it's a run play. Even on passing situations, he can get a little pressure on the quarterback. This rip move can be dynamic, and if he diagnoses run quickly and guesses right and hits the right gap, he can really blow up a play and have it go for a tackle for loss. Even if it's not for him, just going into the backfield and penetrating and really disrupting the timing of the play can make all the difference between them getting back to the line of scrimmage, getting 4 yards, and having a 2-yard loss on the play. He's very strong. Strong for his size at 6'1", 298. When you're a 6'1" defensive lineman, you need to use that leverage. You don't have long limbs. You're not a guy that's going to win a lot of matchups if the offensive lineman is able to lay hands on you first. So it's your job to get up under the pads and drive them back, or just stand up at the point of attack. He uses his leverage well. And so with that frame, and I think he can stand to gain some more weight, he's able to stand up at the point of attack. There is a lot to like here, and because of that, there's upside. I think there's some upside here with this kid, and I'll tell you why there's so much upside and why the Chargers are probably excited about getting a player of his caliber in the 6th round as we go to his cons. He can be upright at times, and if you're 6'1", 298 pounds, let's just call him 300 pounds, you're 6'1", 300 pounds, you need to use your leverage to your advantage. Again, I just talked about you not being the tallest guy at 6'1". You're going up against 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" offensive linemen. You need to make sure you keep your leverage. You need to stay low because you're already at a distinct disadvantage because of your height and lack of arm length. So you need to stay lower than the offensive lineman. And at times he just stands up too straight. He's too erect. And he allows guys to get into his chest and move him out of the way. Speaking of which, he can be moved. That's the next con. This is a guy that I saw too many times uprooted out of his gap and moved 2-3 yards to the left or to the right, which gives the running back a clear hole to run up, and he's vacated his area because he's not able to hold his ground. If he can stay low and not show the offensive lineman in front of him his numbers, he should be fine. But when he wants to stand up and act as if he can't be moved off a spot, they're gonna pick him up and dump truck him 5 yards out of the play. His aggression can run him out of plays. I talked about how aggressive he is in nature and how he wants to be a penetrating defensive lineman. Well, a lot of times when you do that, if you guess wrong, you can really hurt your defense by doing so. You can penetrate all you want. If you get into the backfield and the offensive lineman knows, all right, this guy's been trying to knife in and time up the snap and penetrate, I'm gonna let him get into the backfield, and then I'm gonna just wall him off. So I'm gonna let him through, and then I'm gonna just ride him all the way to the back, and the running back's just gonna cut off my block where he just vacated, come right up in here and get him 8. So if you're a coach of the Chargers, you're gonna say, hey, look, man, I want you to be aggressive, but I want you to pick your spots. You can't be over aggressive all the time. And a lot of times at Arkansas, he was very aggressive, and I saw it work against him on a number of occasions. Could have used more seasoning. And I don't know about you, I like my beef seasoned, okay? Especially coming into the National Football League. These are grown men you're messing with. Now, you're not messing with other 20 and 18 and 19-year-olds. You're messing with grown men. And these guys got grown men strength. We're talking about 27, 28, 29, 30. They got kids, all right? They ain't messing around. So he could have used some more seasoning. He could have stayed in college another year, put on about another 10, 15 pounds of mass and been a little bit stronger at the point of attack. I thought he could have used some more technique and some more schooling. This is a guy that I just felt like came out of school too early, and that's why he's a 6th-round pick. If he just stayed at school for another year, gained some more experience, put on some more weight, we're talking about a 3rd-round selection. This guy's talented, but he made a mistake in my mind, and he cost himself millions of dollars, because if he doesn't work out and he's a 6th-round pick, the Chargers can just say, all right, we're gonna cut you. You know, and he won't have anything to show for it, whereas if he was a 3rd-round selection, he's going to get ample opportunities to show the Chargers why he belongs in the National Football League. So, felt like he came out a year too soon, but hey, it's done. We can't look back on the past. He's here. He needs to develop while in the San Diego Chargers facility, and he needs to get stronger, he needs to get bigger, and he needs to learn better technique. If he can do all of those things, it's a talented football player. For me, because of all of the talent that I see with this kid, even though I felt like he should have stayed at school another year, this is a double for me, for Darius Philon in the 6th round. The Chargers know what they're getting here. They're getting a raw, young prospect that they need to mold into a grown man. If they can do that, this kid could come in and play. I think he's a 5 technique. I don't think he's the guy you put in the middle of your defense. I think he's a 5 technique. You let him play at defensive end, and you see if he can't turn into another collegiate for you. down the road. But right now, it's all about getting this kid to understand what it's going to take for him to excel at the next level. But there is talent here that's undeniable, and that's why he's a double for me in the 6th round. So that's the Chargers draft in a nutshell. Let's tally up their scores and see what they were able to accomplish with their 2015 haul. You look at their 5 selections. First 2 were home runs right off the bat, back-to-back jacks with Melvin Gordon and then Denzel Perryman. So you start out with 2 home runs. Then you have a triple in the 5th round with Emanuel and 2 doubles outside of that triple to sandwich it in the middle with Craig Mager and Darius Philon. So no singles in this short, compacted draft for the Chargers. You go 4, 4, and 3. That's 11. You get a double and another double. Gets you to 15. 5 draft picks for the Chargers. Divide 15 by 5. You know how to do the math. That's a solid triple. The Chargers slide in to 3rd base. And they're safe with a triple. Chargers are another team that you can add to the list of triples. Very impressive haul for the Chargers. This is a football team that's right on the cusp of making the postseason. With drafts like this, they're not going to be far off. And I think a guy like Melvin Gordon and Denzel Perryman are going to come in, help you right away. And I think guys like Craig Mager, Emanuel, and even Darius Philon in the 6th round are guys that you develop, and they're going to help you sooner rather than later. That's the San Diego Superchargers 2015 NFL Draft wrap up. It happens in the National Football League, whether big or small. We cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Who's next? Thanks for hanging with me and rolling with me, Chargers fans. Bolt up! There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter at In The Lab Room, or you can like the Facebook page at In The Lab Room. That's In The Lab Room on Facebook and at In The Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.